This is one of the most famous scary stories called the high beams, and I guarantee after listening to it, you would never want to drive at night again. As a woman was driving down a deserted highway, she noticed a lone pair of headlights quickly approaching her from behind, and when the car came closer, she noticed that it was going to overtake her. The car then came up beside her, but then the driver suddenly swerved back behind her car. She started getting nervous and kept an eye on the strange car in her rearview mirror. He pulled up dangerously close to her rear bumper and began flashing his high beams at her. The headlights dimmed for a moment, but then the high beams flashed again and the car behind her surged forward. The car followed her very closely, and on tight curves or over hills, he would flash his high beams on and off. The frightened woman struggled to keep her eyes on the road and fought the urge to keep looking at the car behind her. Finally, she approached her exit, but the car continued to follow, flashing the high beams again and again. The terrified woman then took out her phone and dialed 911. When the operator answered, the woman screamed into the phone, "A car is following me, he keeps tailgating, and he keeps blinking his lights at me." The woman then gave them her address, and in a few minutes she saw the red and blue lights of the police cars in the distance. She let out a sigh of relief as she pulled into her driveway, but suddenly the strange car pulled into the driveway behind her and began blinking its headlights over and over again. The police car screeched to a halt on the woman's front lawn, and two police officers jumped out with their guns drawn. They pulled the man out of the strange car and forced him to lie face down on the ground. Then they handcuffed him as he screamed, "There's someone in her car! There's somebody in her car!" The two policemen suddenly pointed their guns in the woman's direction and fired. The woman screamed, but when she turned around, she saw the bloody corpse of a murderer who fell out of her back seat. There was a large butcher knife still gripped in his cold, dead hand. The police searched her back seat and found duct tape, a blindfold, and a pair of handcuffs lying there. The woman realized that the man in the strange car had been trying to save her. When the police released him, he explained that he had pulled up behind her car, and his headlights then lit up her back seat, and he seen a man with a butcher knife rising it up behind her. Just as the madman was about to stab her, he flashed his high beams and the figure crouched back down. He then said, "I flashed my high beams every time I saw him raise the knife."